The room laughed before the watch ever ticked. Not everyone. Just enough. Enough to sting. Enough to remind the man standing alone at the edge of the exhibition floor that he did not belong, at least, not in their eyes. The Swiss expert didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His smile did the work for him. "Wood?" he said lightly, glancing at the small display table. "In watchmaking." A few people chuckled. Someone whispered, "That won't last a year." Another muttered, "This isn't a souvenir shop." The Filipino craftsman heard every word. He said nothing, because he knew something they didn't. And in less than an hour, the same room would fall so silent that you could hear a heartbeat echo off the glass cases. By the end of the night, a single wooden watch, valued at $2 million, would change how the world looked at craftsmanship forever. This is not a story about revenge. It's a story about patience, about hands shaped by decades of quiet work, and about what happens when tradition underestimates innovation born far from its borders. To understand how a Filipino craftsman ended up standing in front of Europe's most elite horology minds, you have to go back to where his journey began. Not in a factory, not in a lab, but in a small coastal town in the Philippines, where time was measured not by seconds, but by sunlight and tides. His grandfather carved boats. His father repaired furniture. Wood was never just material, it was memory. Each grain told a story. Each knot demanded respect. As a child, he learned early that would punish his arrogance. Rush it, and it splits. Ignore it, and it warps. Force it, and it breaks. So he learned patience. Years later, while others chased modern careers, he stayed behind long enough to master something most had forgotten: how to listen to materials. But life has a way of pulling people outward. He moved abroad for work. Construction at first, then restoration, then custom furniture for clients who wanted something authentic. One day, a collector asked a question that sounded ridiculous at the time. "Can you make something small? Something precise? Something wearable?" The idea lingered. A watch. Not metal. Not ceramic. Wood. Everyone he mentioned it to laughed. Wood expands. Wood contracts. Wood cracks. Wood absorbs moisture. Swiss horology had spent centuries perfecting metals for a reason. But that was exactly the point. Everyone knew why it wouldn't work. No one had truly tried to make it work. He spent years experimenting. Not weeks. Years. Different species. Different curing methods. Different grain orientations. Most failed. Some failed spectacularly. Cases warped. Movements jammed. Humidity destroyed tolerances measured in microns. He burned through savings. Lost clients. Was told kindly, sometimes cruelly, to stick to furniture. But slowly, patterns emerged. Certain woods stabilized when aged long enough. Certain oils protected without suffocating. Certain constructions moved with time instead of fighting it. The breakthrough came when he stopped trying to make wood behave like metal. Instead, he designed the watch to breathe. A case that flexed microscopically. Joints that absorbed expansion. A movement suspended, not fixed, floating within its shell. It wasn't just a watch. It was a living system. Years later, that system stood quietly on a table in Switzerland. The exhibition hall was a temple to tradition. Glass cases gleamed with centuries of legacy. Names whispered with reverence. Movements assembled by bloodlines of watchmakers. The Filipino craftsman had no famous surname, no heritage brand, no institutional backing. Just a single watch. And that's when the Swiss expert mocked him. Not aggressively. Casually. The most dangerous kind. He picked up the watch gently, almost playfully. "Wood is charming," he said, "but serious watchmaking demands permanence." The craftsman finally spoke. "This watch," he said calmly, "has already lived longer than most designs." The expert raised an eyebrow. "May I?" He examined it more closely, and something changed. The weight was wrong. Too balanced, The finish was impossible with polish to a depth normally reserved for sapphire. He turned it over. The case back revealed craftsmanship so precise, unsettling. Unsettling, he asked, for a loop. Under magnification, the joints vanished. Grain alignment flowed perfectly around curves that should not exist. This is not CNC, the expert murmured. No, the craftsman replied. This is handwork. Measured, remeasured, over and over. Someone asked about moisture resistance. The craftsman removed the strap, dropped the watch into a small container of water prepared for demonstrations. The room stiffened. Seconds passed. He removed Italiana, wiped it dry. The second hand never stopped. Silence replaced. Laughter. The expert frowned. What wood is this? Several, the craftsman said. Each chosen for a reason. Each aged longer than most apprenticeships. The expert adjusted the crown. The movement felt alive. Not gritty, not resistant. Smooth. Too smooth. What movement is this? Someone asked. Mine, the craftsman answered. That's when the room truly changed. A fully custom movement, designed to function within a living case. Impossible according to textbooks. One collector stepped forward, then another. Questions shifted from skepticism to disbelief. How stable? How accurate? How long will it last? The craftsman answered quietly. This watch is designed to outlive me. Someone laughed nervously, but no one mocked him anymore. Then came the moment no one expected. A representative from a private European collection known for acquiring only one-of-a-kind pieces asked a single question. Is it for sale? The craftsman hesitated. Yes, he said finally, but not cheaply. The number exchanged next stunned everyone. $2 million. For a wooden watch. The Swiss expert said nothing. He just stared. Later, he approached the craftsman privately. I was wrong, he said. Not defensively, not reluctantly. Honestly. I thought innovation came from refining tradition, he admitted. You showed me it can also come from listening to materials we dismissed. The craftsman nodded. That's all Wood ever wanted, he said. To be listened to? News of the sale spread fast. Forums exploded. Traditionalists argued. Innovators celebrated. But one truth was undeniable. A man from a country rarely associated with luxury horology had rewritten the rules not by rejecting tradition, but by understanding something deeper. Time is not just measured. Ites, liveth, and materials that live understand it better than those that don't. The watch now sits in a private vault, but the echo of that moment still travels. A reminder that mastery does not belong to geography, that excellence does not ask permission, and that sometimes the quietest craftsman in the room is holding the future in his hands. The room laughed first, but the watch had the last word, and the world listened.